Right, hello. This is a special Blood Cancer Uncensored meeting in memory of our friend Bärbel. Now, Bärbel has been a member of Blood Cancer Uncensored since the very beginning, but she was diagnosed with blood cancer about 3 years before we got going in 2017. She said in her own description that she was diagnosed with terminal blood cancer back then, but certainly for almost a decade now, she's been a very active member of many, many groups. And she would turn up at groups at 2 o'clock in the morning, her time, just so that she could be at every group that it was possible to be at. She was also incredibly active in all these groups. She had many things to say at many, many times. Some of us on this call were good friends of hers. Others of us only really knew her from Zoom. But whoever knew her, I think we all saw something of her sort of shining light and her desire to help other people and to study, not just to understand her own blood cancer and the treatment thereof, but to help other patients understand the data for themselves as well. So what we wanted to do is to just honour the fact that Bärbel really was a sort of foundational member of Blood Cancer Uncensored. And I say was because she just disappeared online and we didn't know what had happened. We had our suspicions. I think some of us knew that she'd been unwell. And then more recently, her Facebook profile was turned into memorial stage. And I know it's maybe unusual for some of us that there's no more information around about exactly what happened and when it happened. But I've since understood that sometimes the culture in Germany is not to perhaps be quite so open with obituaries and such like. So it's perhaps not a surprise that family members haven't got in touch with us. They may not have even fully understood what this group was. So as a result of that, we wanted just to have this opportunity for people just to share stories and for us to sort of grieve together, really. I think I would like to just say one more thing before I'd like to hand it over to other people who might want to say some things about her. And that is this, that it's quite natural for us to grieve about somebody we may never have met in the flesh. And that's for two reasons. Because one, because the relationships and the support that we feel online is very real and very tangible. These are real people. We used to talk about in real life or IRL online, but I think these days people recognize increasingly that online life actually is real life. We may not have been able to hug her. We may not have been able to see her face to face, but many of us, I think, felt like we knew her very well. And so it's natural that we grieve, and that's okay to grieve. And it's natural that we grieve not just for her, but that it also stirs up all kinds of emotions for ourselves. And I'm not afraid to confess that at points in my own journey, I've needed to have counselling, I've needed to have therapy, and for some of you, that may be what you'll need as a result of this. And so this isn't a replacement for that. However, I think we all believe that a little bit of sharing the story, and it's lovely to see some familiar faces on here. So the way this is going to go is we'd like those of you who would like to say something to put a message in the chat, or if you prefer and you know how to do it, raise your hand. But at this stage, only if you're happy to be recorded. And what we'll do is first, however many who are happy to be recorded, we'll record. And then when anyone who wants to be on the video, if you like, has finished, then anyone who does not want to be can also then speak. We'll switch the video off and then we'll carry on. And those who don't want to be recorded can do that. So I guess I'll hand over to somebody like Sue or Lisa. I don't know who wants to do that in a moment. Thank you, Seymour. I see you'd like to speak, and I think we'll certainly go to you quite early on because I know you knew Bärbel very, very well. So if you would like to put in the message, if you don't want to be videoed, please put "I'd like to speak but not on video" or "no video" or something like that, so we know that. Okay, so I don't know if somebody can unmute Seymour. I think or maybe I can do that. Okay, here you go, Seymour.
All right. I first met Bärbel on our Zooms here. I think that was in 2021. At least my notes began back then. At that time, she had been in treatment on a clinical trial ibrutinib, venetoclax, and obinutuzumab, a pioneering trial, the first triplet. And she was undetectable MRD, but she was already having trouble with infections. And we began um, chatting offline on Facebook. We became Facebook friends, and we began sharing papers about CLL and immunology. And of course, the pandemic was really blazing back then, and we were both very worried about that. Um, and I know that she had been a nurse. She was a retired nurse. She lived in Germany, in Geislingen an der Steige, which is in southern Germany. And she would send me little videos she made walking through town, and really enjoyed that. Um, and she had pictures of her garden. Um, but she didn't have a caretaker. She didn't have anybody living with her that could have helped us, you know, contact and find out her status. She was in the hospital. Um, I saw the final ANCAN video um, with Lynn and Nancy, and it was heartbreaking, to be honest with you, to see how ailing she was. She went through so many infections over so many years, and I have to say I'm just distressed that she didn't get, you know, IVIG that often. Um, I feel like something more could have been done, and I'm sure she did too. She complained about, you know, oh, well, they don't do that here, sorts of things, and but she really liked the fact that she was dealing with researchers and that she had done this trial and that she was contributing in a much larger sense to research on CLL. So she was my big German sister CLL nerd buddy. You know, and sometimes we would share 20 pages in a week, papers in a week, and discuss them and what does this mean and what does it imply. And she really made me up my game, you know, on how I research things and what's proven and what's not proven and why do we do it this way and all that sort of thing. So I really feel like I am the CLL nerd I am because of Barbell. Um, I feel like crying.
That's
So it's really sad me to see her go.
yeah,
And I thought it was great on that Ant video that Nancy told her that she loved her. And I regret that I never did. So tell people you love them. I love all you guys.
Seymour, we love you too, buddy. We really do.
yeah.
You know, both of you guys.
Yeah.
That was very touching. Thank you.
I think I'll keep him. Yeah.
I have a lot of other info on her case and stuff if anybody's interested, but I don't think right now is the time to go through it. I went through all of my notes. I downloaded Facebook chats, which I could only get back to March 2024 because they encrypted stuff. And just reviewing that and remembering a lot of it. You know, I started my treatment and after her, and we talked about, you know, what she experienced on her treatment and compared notes and stuff. And she held my hand. So
Yeah.
I think that's enough.
I think that's very precious, Seymour, and it's quite understandable and quite okay to cry. I mean, you know, this is what I meant when I said these relationships are real. You know, even when we haven't met someone face to face, and shaking their hands or giving them a hug or whatever. It's still, and I think she knew that you loved her.
Yeah, I think so.
And I'm sorry, can I just say, Seymour, you met her at her love language. That's
Yeah,
what you
I
guys
agree.
did. And I have to admit publicly that I didn't realize like how much she spurred you on, and because we've always been thankful for what you do as well. There's many people here that um that feel that way about what you do for our group. So I just had to throw that in there. I didn't know you had a wind beneath your wings.
Yeah. We're journal buddies. I learned that that's a thing, that people exchange journal articles and discuss them and whatnot. And she was my journal buddy.
I also think, Seymour, that because she lived on her own, I think the relationships that she had online were really, really important to her. So I'm 100% sure she knew you loved her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But telling people makes a difference.
Really does. Yeah.
So, and I love you, Sue.
I
And
love you too.
Lisa, and you,
100%.
Pat, and Lynn, and Sarah, and Cindy, and Maggie, and Nancy, and Sally, and Adrian, and Ruth, and Corey, and you too, Karen. I don't know you well, but and Esty.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, thank you, Seymour. I noticed there's a lot of other people who've wanted to speak, so I don't know whether we just go by order of who spoke first. So maybe in that case, Ruth.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've known Bärbel for a few years, so not as long as Seymour, but she invited me into a CLL group and some others. Now, I didn't have CLL. I had, diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, double hit, high grade stage 4, which was horrible. And it's taken me a while to recover, and I'll probably never be where I was. But we would text back and forth. And when she invited me to those different groups she was in, and even on her Facebook group, I was able to do a lot, like Seymour, do a lot of research because of her. And we traded some information back and forth. But I'm an admin for a group called the Diva and Dude Community that's in San Antonio. It's a private group. I was able to use some of her stuff directly for CLL or SLL and other things, but it also spurred me on to research other cancers and other studies for the people that are in our group, because it's male, female, doesn't matter what kind of cancer, if they diagnosed yesterday or 40 years from now. So I have a great big group of people that I research for, and it's because of her that I do the research and then post for that group I'm in. So she's made a great contribution, even though it wasn't her intent for the people in San Antonio. And I would text back and forth with her about different things. We traded some pictures of flowers and stuff because of her garden. That was always fun. And she and Maggie, especially when I first got on, I was so sick and scrawny and bald, of course. She'd always want to see me in my pink wig. So if I got on without the wig, like if I was wearing a ball cap, because I have to, because of my eyesight, I need, not as much fluorescent lighting and things. She'd still want to see that damn pink wig. So I would put that pink wig on part of the way through the meeting so she could see me in the pink wig. And I always thought
we all remember that pink wig, Ruth.
Well, now I have a purple one, so I could add that in there too. I just got one, and I knew when I got the purple wig and put it on that she would be making me trade off the purple or the pink, because they're absolutely fabulous. And I'll miss her so much. I really will. Thank you.
I think
You
it
can
was very
go to-
appropriate.
Yeah, go to somebody else. I gotta mute.
I think purple is very appropriate. But your wig was amazing. Just like Bärbel was amazing. She seemed to span continents. She was in Germany, she could be in America, she went to all the meetings. And I remember last autumn when she looked so ill, she still managed to turn up. I kind of sense she might be wanting to turn up tonight. Yeah, she was the matriarch of the group. She's the eldest person, I think. I think she was 79. I know we had a discussion about age at one stage, although age is just a number. But yeah, I particularly feel for Seymour because I know they did a lot of journal buddying or whatever they call it. But all that stuff goes over my head. All I felt from Bärbel was she was kind, she was loving, she loved flowers, and she loved cats. And of course, cats are, our salvation when we live on our own. So yeah, wherever she is, whatever's happened to her, I hope she flies free and doesn't feel all that illness and the infections that she had, because she didn't have a chance with some of the things that they'd done to her. So yeah, she'll be sadly missed. I was so shocked when I read about the memorial on her Facebook page, although we had been trying to track her for probably a month. So I kind of guessed, but it's hard to see it in black and white, although the memorial page that they put up on her Facebook is lovely. And I hope eventually her family know how much we loved her. And we love you, Seymour, too. So, I've said it now. So take care and let's support each other, because that's what grieving's about. You don't have to do it on your own. You can do it as a group like this, even though we're thousands of miles apart. And how much I know that, because my kids are thousands of miles apart, but still have very meaningful conversations online. And I think Bärbel being online at 2 a.m. in the morning, or 7 o'clock when we're all asleep, that's fantastic. And it just shows her dedication to what she was doing, trying to make a difference. And that's all we can do in our lives, is just try and make some sort of difference. And she certainly did, girl. So, farewell, friend. That's great.
Well, thank you, Maggie. The next person in the list on the chat that I can see who asked to speak was Pat, actually. Sorry, Pat, you're muted at the moment.
Yeah, there we go. I wrote something, so bear with me. It's more of a prayer rather than something off the cuff, because I can't do really off the cuff too well unless I am very, very much complaining. So this is what I wrote, and I hope that it goes over well, and I'll try not to cry throughout it. From the heavens above to the earth below, may the winds carry her spirit to high above. May her fiery soul shine for all to see, as we carry a bit of her wisdom, her courage, her insight, and her humor all in our hearts. May her spirit be bright as the eternal light that she is in, and she was called home so soon. We shall meet again in the light and peace and happiness, and that all that it awaits for us. So ends my prayer, so mote it be.
Bless you, Pat. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Pat. Well
the
said.
next person, yeah, that's right. Then that's right. Yeah, the next person I've got on the list here who asked was Anne Mack. Not sure if we have to.
Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't been on the group for 2 or 3 years, and when I heard about Bärbel's passing, I regretted not seeing her recently. But she was a founding member. She was always had that wonderful smile, a bright lipstick, just a joy. And I just wanted to acknowledge how much she will be missed. That's it.
Oh, bless you, Anne. Well, it's lovely to see you again. We've missed you.
Thank you for mentioning that red lipstick. Every time she was on the call, somebody commented about her lipstick.
Yeah.
She always pointed out when she'd had her hair done as well. Do you remember? She said, I've had my hair done, look. It's lovely.
She loved life.
Well, thank you, Anne. I'm the next person on the chat list who asked to speak. So again, if you'd like to speak and you haven't written a message in chat, please do so. We'll get our way through everyone, I'm sure. Nancy Capra, sorry, Nancy.
Hey, y'all. Thank you. Wow. I just want to say thank you, facilitators, for having this call. We don't talk about death much. But I think it's so important, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But and I got diagnosed in 2019 and found support groups within I'd say a year to 18 months. And of course, the groups I was in, Bärbel was a part of. And I remember that she was just always like loving me from Germany. Like I could just feel it through the internet. We didn't talk about it or anything right in the first, but you could just tell when some people just love you. And I remember that she just had such a welcome to her. And if you haven't read Seymour's Facebook post about Bärbel, it's absolutely 100% beautiful. And it sums up so much of all of our experience with Bärbel. I got to be in a writing group with Bärbel. And so I got to find out a little bit more about her family because of the stories she would write. And I feel like most of the ANCAN calls are recorded. I don't know if the creative writing group is recorded, but if it is, you should be able to find it, and you can hear her stories. She did have somebody that lived in the same complex as her that checked on her quite a bit, and it wasn't a family member. And she, as far as I can recall from what she's told me, she has 2 sons. And when I asked her if her sons were able to come and to help her, she said that they lived further away. And of course, young people have jobs. And so it was like she was very understanding of them having lives, and she felt, I think, very loved by them, but they were distant geographically. And I feel like from my memories, which I'm not going to say are completely true, but I think she raised them as a single mom. And, so there was so much depth to Bärbel that came out in a lot of her being. So I don't know if it's because I'm Texan or just kind of got over once you get diagnosed, life becomes much more precious. But I remember at one point, and this was the thing that was so important to me, because Barbel and I had a lot of conversations because she had a lot of illness. She was in and out of the hospital quite a bit these last few years. And I remember at one point, I asked her, I said, Barbel, how do you go through this? What's giving you strength? And she said, well, it's my faith. And I said, and this is exactly what I was like, I got to know. I just got to know. And I said, well, Barbel, are you a believer? And she said, oh, yes. She said, it's my strongest part. And that just gave me so much comfort because I'm a believer. I believe. And when I say a believer, I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe everything about Jesus Christ. And so to me, I think she knew also, and in my time with her in the last, I feel like she kind of had a knowledge that she wasn't going to be on this earth for a long time. I mean, I feel like she knew her time was coming. And for a believer, there's obviously real stuff happening that you have to, but the other side of it is just joy and happiness. And there is no pain or sorrow or tears. Her body is healed. Every joy, I mean, can you imagine the brightest red lipstick of heaven? There are other colors in heaven. We are not even gonna, Barbel, oh my gosh, her hair, it is perfect. She is whole and complete. And so for me, realizing that as we couldn't get in touch with her, that she had probably passed and that she was living her very best life now, that gave me a lot of comfort. And I'm so grateful I knew her. I'm so grateful. And I always want to show up in these calls and channel Barbel. I want to be that welcoming person, that sort of, I just want to express love, even though I might not say it. I just want to send it through the internet. And I'm very, very happy. And I'm so glad that we have today. It's important to talk about what's coming because we're all going to die. Some of us may be a little more dramatic. Barbel did have Richter's in this last season of her illness. And so I'm grateful, really grateful. And I'm grateful to see all of you, so many faces. If I don't know you or you don't know me, we'll know each other now. And but for many of you, just seeing your faces and Corey, your shaved head, and Ruthie, your hat, and I mean, I just love all the little pieces we pick up about each other. Cindy, how's your clonoset going? There's just all those things. So I'm gonna zip now, and I love you guys.
Thank you, Nancy. That was very touching and moving, and thank you for sharing. And we love you too. And just as a sort of brief interlude, if you like, not quite an advert because there's no money changing hands, but just as a reminder that we do have this Blood Cancer Uncensored call once a month. It's on the third Saturday of every month at 7 p.m. UK time, which makes it, I think, 2 p.m. Eastern time, and something like 11 a.m. if you're on the West Coast, something like that. Is that right? I don't know. But that was why we set up that time. Originally, it was set up in the middle of COVID, right at the beginning, because some of us were using physical face-to-face support groups as a lifeline. And I don't know how it was in the US. I think it was the same in the US. Some of these groups just shut overnight. And initially, the NHS was a bit slow to move those. Eventually, they did move online. But in that interim, we set up Blood Cancer Uncensored as a regular thing, originally once a week. And I think for many of us, it was a lifeline that got us through that really dreadful time. And it now feels like family. And so if you've been before and you haven't been for a while and you've found today and you carry on finding today helpful and you'd like to come back, you're so welcome. And we know that people can't always make it every month. I haven't even made it every month myself. But it is on the third Saturday of every month, and people would be so welcome to join, whether you're feeling like everything's going fine and I don't need anything. And I think, yeah, Nancy, that idea of channeling your inner Barbel, that's a bit of a motto perhaps for all of us moving forward. Okay, so I think next in line, actually, I think was you, Lisa, wasn't it?
I think so. I think so. Thank you. I wanted to thank everybody for coming. It means so much, and wish we could bottle this up and keep it forever. I also wanted to welcome Holly, who did come on, and I know you said hello in the chat. Thank you for joining us in honor of Bärbel. I was taking some notes because I'm like Pat a little bit. Because you guys have covered many of the things that we all commonly knew about just her. Like if you sent her something on Messenger, no matter what time it was in Germany, she would just answer it. So it's like she was on call all the time. But another fun fact is I know she had been married and was divorced, so it kind of fills that in, but I didn't know that she raised the kids alone. But she did live in the United States for a time and somewhere in California. And I think that did help her English a lot. I don't know what cities or the time frame, but I do remember that. And so the two things that I thought of is, and I have the same problem with the messenger chats. They're gone because of the Facebook changes, but she used to send me stuff all the time. So now that I realize that she was trying to engage me and get me to become an intellectual giant like you guys who actually did converse with her, but I finally said, Bärbel, please feel free to post whatever you want on our group. You have free reign to post whatever you think is pertinent because I have no idea what you're talking about most of the time.
Yeah.
And I was still working full time and whatnot. And I'm just like, I can't, my brain can't handle it. But it definitely, I trusted her to do what she wanted there. And then she did start her own group, which we've acknowledged. Another fun thing that I just wanted to mention that Adrian and I were talking about is, so it's possible she was able to memorialize her own Facebook page or to let her family know her wishes. So we have an answer for Seymour's question in that we think she picked us to handle the memorials, basically. And that's why now when you post them, they go to us. Okay. So if you wanted to leave something on her Facebook wall, and again, this is interesting. I still hope her family can see it and see what impact she made. It also gets posted on Blood Cancer Uncensored as well. Like we were just amazed by that whole concept. Something I know Maggie had brought up is just to let your loved ones know, to let us know. So if you're okay with that. Oh, we I just recently got married to Brett, and one little fun thing is since I've been with Brett, we've been able to meet, aside from the folks that I've been able to meet in person, we've been able to like 3 or 4 other people since I met him and been with him over 3 years while we were going to visit Bärbel. He was stationed in the army nearby, and I just kind of knew that was just a fun thing to talk about and to dream about. And I'm sad that I'm super sad. I like to meet you guys so much. Super sad we weren't able to do that, but I did post similarly to what Nancy is saying, that I do fully to meet my friend Bärbel in heaven, and I am so grateful for that. And that's, to me, that's my personal feeling. That's all that matters. Is that she's not suffering anymore, and I'm just so thankful for that. And I'm so thankful for this group and the bonds that we've developed here. So I thank you for letting me speak.
No, thank you, Lisa. Thank you. So as I'm looking in the chat, the only other person who's mentioned is Lynn. Though I kind of think Sue kind of almost has to. No, she doesn't. But if she would like to, she's very welcome to as well. And also, if anyone else has not written that they'd like to talk, I guess this is now your chance to do so. But I'll hand over to Lynn, and then perhaps Sue and anyone else who might want to.
Well, I appreciate the comments that so many of you have made already. And some comments are just, they're buried deep in our hearts and they're hard to share. And I understand that we all miss Barbell. And I mean, it was overwhelming on the ANCAN calls that began at 7 p.m. Texas time, that it was 2 a.m. in Germany when she joined us. And she joined us from home. She joined us from the hospital. I think the last 3 calls she was in the hospital that she called us. And of course, sometimes her phone was cattywampus and she was at an angle. But sometimes she might just doze off a little bit, but then she'd come back and at the end she'd say goodbye, and it would be 4 a.m. in the morning when we signed off, and she would still be there. And I think it's because we were all, each one of you, and each of those different Zoom calls, video calls we were all family to her. We were special to her, and she contributed. She was willing to reach out and to help and to discuss, and the interactions that she had with people like Seymour to discuss things like the immune system and different types of problems that she was facing, problems that we haven't even contemplated or thought about, and hopefully will not have to go through. But she cared, and because I would turn on the closed caption to see if I could understand what she was saying. Sometimes it was a challenge for my old ears. And y'all would talk about her red lipstick, and I'm colorblind. I didn't know if it was red or green. You could have told me otherwise. But she was she was such a lively person, and it she was the international part of our call. And I have searched again today online in Germany to see if I could find an obituary anywhere, and I have been unable to find anything. And Adrian, I think, mentioned that sometimes these things are not shared. And I think since COVID, a lot of obituaries just have not appeared anymore in publications, and because a lot of the newspapers and so forth have become quite expensive, and you can die without having an obituary printed. So lots of times there's just not an obituary there. But and I, when I look here and I see those of us on the call, some of us are muted, some of us have our video turned off. I'd like to think that Barbell is here with us too. I think she just has the microphone muted and the video is turned off. So, Barbell, if you're with us, we appreciate you continuing to participate with us. Um, uh, my memory of one of the books in the New Testament is that we says that we are surrounded by a great crowd of witnesses, and I think that she is one of the ones that sees us. So. Thank you all for being here. Each one of you, thank you for being and sharing from all over the world, because you were each important to her.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Lynn, I wouldn't put it past her to be wearing green lipstick, to be fair, but yeah, it was mostly red, I assure you. Yeah, Barbel, I mean, she was just, I joined this group not quite right at the beginning, but almost at the beginning during COVID. And it was just, when you, sometimes the call has lots of people, sometimes it has a few, but Barbel was right there. You could always log on and know that Barbel was there, which I think is just an amazing, I don't know, solid rock. Do you know what I mean? Just someone who was always there. And I didn't have the kind of relationship a couple of you had, kind of away from the call. Although every time she popped into my head, I did message her. And there was one time, because I do that with a lot of people, if someone pops into my head, I've learned to sort of ping off a quick message. And she was in hospital, and I just messaged her, I think on Facebook Messenger, and just said, how's things? And she rang me, which I was like, oh, it's Barbel. She rang me. And I remember sitting on the stairs and chatting to her and just kind of saying, you know, how's things? What are they saying? And I realized halfway through the call that she was telling the doctors what she thought they should be doing. And I suddenly had this thought that these doctors are probably terrified when this woman comes into hospital. And you know, Seymour, I hate to say it, but I think they probably feel the same about you, because, you know, you would probably be showing them the latest research and saying, really, you should be putting me on this drug. And I just remember laughing to myself halfway through this call, thinking she said to me, I basically told them that I need to be on this drug and not on that one that they're suggesting because of this, and this. I mean, I know a little about CLL, but it's like this much compared to what Bärbel knew. And it just made me laugh to think of, you know, these slightly nervous doctors coming to make suggestions to her. But it was an amazing call, and I didn't really expect. But I sat on the stairs for 20 minutes or so, and had a chat to her, and came off just feeling better for it, even though she was the one that was poorly, you know, that was in hospital. So I think that's a real gift. I think you know, being able to have a one-to-one conversation with someone who is physically struggling, but then you come away feeling better for that conversation. I think that's a real gift. And I know that's just a tiny bit of the relationship that some of you had with her, but it's really weird being on these calls without her. It's not right. It's really weird. So I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I think that's right. And I think it's worth just drawing attention to something that Seymour has said in the chat. I'm a shocker for sometimes not reading the chat, and Seymour, and I think Bärbel as well, would be always filling the chat with good things. But I think Seymour's absolutely right to say that, you know, that there was this wonder, he puts it, and this wonder about biology and creation, and also the science and all of that side of things, but also the fears. And I think, you know, it's probably worth acknowledging at this point that when something like this happens, it does bring out fear for us. And one thing I wanted to say is that I think it's understandable that we have fear and that we worry about what our fate will be. And I think that, you know, this is a natural reaction to have this feeling at sometimes, and it's something that we all share in a way that, well, I was in a group that used to talk about people who hadn't had a cancer diagnosis as being muggles. For those of you that watch Harry Potter, they're muggles. And it's like that, you know, and sometimes it can feel as though people who haven't been through this journey, or at least been through this journey as a sort of loved one or a partner of somebody who has the diagnosis, just perhaps don't understand, and nor can they, and maybe we don't even want them to. So it is lovely to be able to support one another in this way. And I do hope many of you will continue to join the call, or perhaps start again if you haven't for a while. But please don't feel under pressure to do that. You can pop in and you can pop out. If you haven't come for a while, but then you want to come, then I think you'll find a warm welcome always. And we've often talked about this as a sort of blood family, and that's very much how it feels. And we are, you know, looking to the future. We have the Facebook group that will continue. These Zoom calls will continue. We've recently moved the website to a thing called Substack, and part of the reason for that is to help a whole new audience of people, we hope, but also because sometimes we don't see things on Facebook. So, you know, it's good that we keep in touch as best we can by all the different methods, and there's also, of course, the WhatsApp group. So if any of you would like to join the WhatsApp group, or indeed, of course, Substack if you're not in that, or indeed, of course, the Facebook group. It's sometimes worth being in all of these things because, unfortunately, you know, we don't always get the messages on Facebook. We don't always see that. At least on WhatsApp, if you're in the group, you will see the messages. And you can always do a little clever thing that I do with all of those groups if I'm in them, which is mute them. And that doesn't stop the messages from coming through, but it stops your phone buzzing every time at 3 a.m. or whatever that a message comes through. And so then you can just dip in and out and look at it when you want to. And similarly, the whole point about the Substack is a sort of email subscription that you can join if you want to. Of course, there's no obligation to be on any of these groups or indeed to share. But I think that something someone said on here is quite interesting and quite important, and that idea of developing our knowledge as patients. And that's certainly been one of our passions through Blood Cancer Uncensored. I know it's a passion of other Facebook groups, other support groups, groups like ANCAN, groups like CLL Society, and the big charities like, in the UK, Blood Cancer UK, and other similar charities in the US. That all of these groups exist partly to help us understand our own situation a little bit better, and to be in a position to sometimes challenge our care if we feel that we're not getting appropriate care, or if we're concerned, or just even to ask the right questions, to know what questions to ask. What I do want to say though, and I think it's quite important, is that there are people who've popped up on this call today who haven't been with us for a while, and in many cases the reason why you haven't been with us for a while is because things are going well. And I think when we hear a sort of sad story or a challenging story like what we've heard about today, it can be very easy for us to assume that we're all going to have a bad experience, and that's just not true. And you see, there's a sort of bias, if you like, of all of the groups that, we might have thousands of people on our Facebook group, but the ones that are actually posting messages and asking for help are the ones that are in the middle of a crisis. The ones that tend to come onto these calls are either just there because, we just want to be there all the time and support other people, and it's just kind of like it means a lot to us to be there even if we're feeling well, or we're in a challenge, and so I don't think Bärbel's the only person that's joined from a hospital bed. I know I have, and I think I'm pretty sure Jared did, I think, once as well. So I'm just going to double check, because anyone else said that they would like to speak in the chat, and if not, I think I'll turn the video off, and then it just gives us an opportunity to speak anymore. So this is just really the last chance if you do want to be filmed. And if anyone does want to speak after the video goes off. So I'm just going to give it a couple of seconds. If anyone wants to jump in.
Andrea, Nancy has her hand up.
Oh, go for it, Nancy.
You want to call in her?
Well, and what I would have to share, we could share after you turn the video off. It's not particularly.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that then. So unless there's anyone else, last second here, I'm going to turn the video off. Hold on a second. So this was a special edition of a Blood Cancer Uncensored meeting. These meetings are not normally recorded, but we've recorded it today, really in the hope that it will be seen by other friends of Bärbel's, that they'll recognize some of these stories, but perhaps more than that, by Bärbel's family. And if you are a member of Bärbel's family and you're watching this on her Facebook profile, because I'm certainly going to try and post it there, and I think that will go there, or at least a link, if nothing else, then I just want to say, she was loved by us. And I think you've seen from these videos how valued she was. So this is going to end the video part of the call, and then we'll return to a more private session.